we're going now?
Without your bow? You don't want to lose it, Georgie. Bill's gonna kill you. Here. Take it.
Hey, yo, friends. What the hell is going on? It's your buddy Shawn the Butcher. It's your bigger buddy Vertebrae33. What's up?
What's going on, Shawn? How are things? You good?
Tooling with prop. I hear your prop and I know what's coming. Are you that prepared? You got that, but we didn't get Baby Ruths for Hellboy? Look at this. Look at this. If you are watching on the In Madness YouTube, I swear to God, my first note in my notes here, I want to snap it and show it to you. The first note I have is Red Balloon has become iconic and the face of this character. Check us out on YouTube right now. Vertebrae33 has the red balloon. Hiya, Georgie. This is the premiere podcast, and it's only half because of the podcast. The other half is the props that Vertebrae brings to the table at In Madness Pod on all of our socials. In Madness Pod at gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube. There is a party going on. Vertebrae is about to float down here. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment. Hit us with the 5-star reviews. Check out the In Madness Spotify playlist, which I'm sure we will be adding music to on purpose or even by accident. The In Madness Spotify playlist grows every single episode. Happy In Madness Monday. Drop a new episode every Monday, or sometimes depending on whatever day Halloween falls on. Spread the In Madness tentacles worldwide. Wrap them around everybody you know. Tell them about this podcast. If you want to support, rock a shirt to school, rock a shirt to work. They're like, what the hell's a milking of the alpacas moment? You can get your shirt. You can get your mug. InMadness.com. Do you have, most importantly, I think the reason we even picked this movie, the vinyl for this movie we're covering, Vertebrae?
Shawn, I do not.
Oh, wow. So that's not why we picked this movie.
I do not have it, and I'm bummed that I don't. It is a fantastic score by Benjamin Wallfish, and we'll get into just details of it, but I do have this, Shawn.
Dude fucking had a red balloon. So scary.
I do have
my
this.
God. How many pages? Is that like 800 and something pages, right?
1,100 page, 1,100 and change. I don't know the exact number.
Let's get into it. What is it?
Well, so I have this because my mother read Stephen King growing up. She also watches the podcast. So what's going on?
Hi, Mom.
And recently, because of the podcast, I'd gone out to visit, and I was like, what books, what Stephen King books you got sitting around? So I brought a box back. So this has been sitting in my office for like a year, probably. And only recently did I tell you this. I was like, well, I want to read this book. Well, Shawn, look at this. Look at this book.
It's going to take about 6 months. Well, you read like a mother effer, probably 6 weeks.
What I did was I did the audiobook. Audiobook is over 45 hours.
Did you do it? Did you do faster?
I did it
higher
1.2, not your mega sound. I can't do that. But it's fantastic. The guy who does the voiceover work is incredible. And I am so submerged, Shawn, in the world of Derry, in the world of it, because it's been, even before we decided to do
Did you finish it?
It's done.
Okay.
I did all 45 hours and change, almost 46 hours. I finished this morning.
Oh, nice. Cool.
So, but because of that, I was like, oh, we need to do this. This needs to be the movie we do. Unbeknownst to me, or I forgot about it, there's also an HBO TV series in Welcome to Derry, which I saw the first 2 episodes of, and I hate to go out on a limb, Shawn, because we've done it before when we see the beginning of something, but these 2 episodes, at least, fantastic episodes, and really digging into the lore of Derry and just kind of the stuff that I really, really love in it. And you told me once you read this, you read it.
So I went the analog version, and I spent 15 years riding the Long Island Railroad back and forth. I still do, and I spent a lot of that time reading books. Now I can't. I get motion sickness all of a sudden. Like If I'm looking down and I'm in a stop motion, I immediately feel like I'm gonna vomit. So like it's hard for me to read on the train now, and it never was like that. I think that COVID fucked me up from not being on the train for so long. But I spent years reading, and I was like, I gotta see what the hype is all about. Yeah, I read every single page, and I'll be honest, great book, not the greatest ending. And they referenced that somewhat in this film.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. I think in my notes somewhere, Shawn, I have endings are tough.
Yeah.
I love this book. I was totally just deep into it. For me, it's so hard to talk about this. And when you're Googling stuff for this movie, and every time you write it's like a million other things come up except what you have to write movie or book and in this case clarify. But I think for me, Shawn, I never was really into it. It came and went at a time. Book comes, so novels released 1986, September 15th, 1986, our birthday month. This novel comes out same year as Slayer's Rain and Blood, by the way. So and I was always a big book buyer. I was never a big book reader, right? So I just had tons of shit. And I've talked about this before. Tons of books. I would buy it. I have to have it. These books, Stephen King books, were just always in the house. They're just sitting around. And I'd see them. I'd certainly look at something like this, and I'd go, "There's no way. I'm going to go hang out with my friends." Right. So that didn't happen. Then I think the miniseries comes on, the 1990 miniseries, and like kind of okay, cool, but like not necessarily scary, like a little more hokey than scary. And certainly a lot of respect for what they did there. And I think they being on television, I think it was on ABC, they had a lot of rules they had to follow. So we won't get into it really, the miniseries. When did you see the miniseries though?
With Tim Curry as Pennywise.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't even think I've seen the full 4-hour thing.
Yeah.
This for me was like The Exorcist, when you don't even know about it, but everybody knows about the head and the puke. Everybody somehow, like the beginning with Pennywise, and like he gets the kid and
Right.
like that was a thing that I knew going into it and was just always curious about the rest of it. But I think I've definitely saw parts of the miniseries throughout my life, never the full thing. So I went full bore into it when I read the book, and then I was very stoked when this new movie came out, because I was like, now I can like get into it in this brand new era, which I thought was digestible, not 4 hours.
Yeah, and I think too is that many people, maybe I was included in this, the advertising and everything for it is about Pennywise, and it's about this clown and this killer clown, and I was kind of like, that's not so much my cup of tea. Like I watched the miniseries, and they touch on other things, but they kind of gloss over the larger scope and weight of this, what's essentially cosmic horror, and the story and everything that now the TV show is tapping into some of it. And now I've started to do even more research on it, and it's like, okay, they just, there are some really incredible scenes in the book and in these movies, and very cool looking, but for me, for my money, I was like, I don't know. So I saw parts
I
of the
love that you're
miniseries.
diving into another mini series after your last 2 attempts had gone terrible.
My last 2. Well, one of them was Alien Earth,
Yeah.
which I still think we have to eventually kind of
We will. And what was
digest
the
and
other one
talk
you
about.
hated the ending of? We just talked about it, I think a week or 2 ago. I forget.
Oh, well, it was a movie. It was Weapons.
Oh, yeah.
But, so I think once again, I apologize to Stephen King. If he ever comes on this podcast, I'm going to apologize to him. When we did Misery, and I finally listened to Misery's the audiobook, I was like, holy crap, this is incredible. So I finally get into it, go all the way through it, and it's like my favorite parts of this, there's not even a clown in that part, like the coolest parts. And not only the deep dive on the lore, but the relationships and everything else they got going on, and the growing up and all that kind of stuff become the best parts of it. So
I think it'd be way easier to get Stephen King on the pod than it would to get John Carpenter.
I would think so.
I feel like if I DM Stephen King, I feel like he would at least heart
I
it
don't
or
know.
get back to me.
I
don't know. I think so. I think he's on social media way more than Carpenter. I'm gonna try. This podcast will be my reminder to tag Stephen King. Be like, listen, we did Misery. Now we're doing it. Like, come on, let's talk.
And
45 minutes, dude.
His son has a new book out. Joe Hill's got a new book, King Sorrow, which
Let's
is
promote it.
getting rave reviews. Might be able to get Joe Hill on as well.
Let's do it.
So it comes out, horror novel. Oh, by the way, Shawn, my mug, because I don't have an It mug.
Let me see the mug.
It's The Thing.
Oh, but it's a red The Thing.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
sick.
Red inside and handle. I figured that kind of fit what we were doing here. And there are some Thing vibes in this as well, which I think lend itself to the cosmic horror vibes, which once again lend itself to Lovecraft. And this movie, Shawn, is this movie book, we're going to be talking about the 2017 adaptation, but is tailor made for In Madness podcast. This is everything in it that we always would talk about. So comes out in 1986. Stephen King, was his 22nd book, but his 17th novel under his own name, because he put out a bunch of books. Well, 5, I guess, but Richard Bachman name. Story follows Shawn. Count them up with me. How many children?
Is it 7?
7 children.
Wow, I didn't even count them. Where am I? Where's my head at?
And actually, 7 is brought up in the book as being, we know that's a mystical number. They say it in the book at one point when they're trying to get everyone together. That's, part of separating them off from each other and not being the pure group of 7. So the book is nonlinear storytelling, right? It's going between 2 periods of time, and so does the miniseries that comes out in 1990. So, by the way, the miniseries 1990, the remake film 2017, 27 years later.
Oh, wow. Look at the gnarly bits coming already.
So we go between 2 different time periods with the Losers Club and them as children and them as adults. And they made the decision with this film, give us some digestible bits. We're going to do It Chapter 1, and then eventually It Chapter 2. And then eventually split it up.
Derry, once Vertebrae gets his
so you know what's crazy? So Shawn, Welcome to Derry is already slated for 3 seasons. And it's going to go backwards.
Okay.
So it's taking place, and they shuffled the timeline, and we can get into it when we get into the movie. For these movies, they changed it a little bit. But each season will be 27 years back. And it'll touch on some touchstone moments in the book, and that they touch on a little in this movie too. So, certainly this touches on loss of child innocence. And, it gets New York Times bestseller. People are crazy into this book. And then 1990, they do this mini series with Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown. John Ritter's in it. He's Ben Hanscom in it. Harry Anderson, remember from Night Court, is in it as well.
Night Court, yeah.
So, and I think then people kind of don't want to touch it. Then Andy, I'm going to say Muschietti, directs this. And he's also working on the TV series with his wife, and the incredible score by Benjamin Wallfish. So we don't need to get, we're going to skip kind of the cast stuff and everything and just get to kind of some key changes from the book, Shawn, and then we can dive right in. So the time period changes. So the novel set from 57 to 58, and then the modern time is 84 and 85. In 2017, it's in the 80s, and then they're 2016 when they're adults. So I think certainly the Stranger Things effect probably has something to do with the 80s-ness of this. The sheer fact, though, that Stranger Things probably doesn't exist if it's not for it. So there's a weird kind of like copying each other thing going on here. But But I think the 80s becomes more relatable to people, to you or I, when we're watching it than the 50s do. So to bring in a new crowd, I think it's smart that they sort of jumped time periods. I will say one of my biggest issues with the movie, we'll get it out right off the bat, is Mike Hanlon's backstory. He just changes from the book. In the book, he's the one who's kind of like the one driving them, and we see him as an adult later on in part 2, but he's driving them more than he is in this, and we have Ben just being the one who's doing all the research and doing all that kind of stuff, which kind of doesn't make so much sense when he's the new kid. But and then they skip, there's a whole thing about an underground clubhouse. Shawn, did you ever have a clubhouse when you were a kid?
I mean, not like a
Like in the
house, but
woods or something?
yeah, like sort of. There were little parks in Queens in the back of the apartments, and there were little parks scattered throughout Queens, and we would meet up at the park before we hit the sports dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So they have an underground. They dig a big hole in the ground and put up some wood and walls and then cover it with moss or whatever. So it sounds like super unsafe to have
I was never
underground.
that constructive, no.
No, I feel like it would have just collapsed in on me. Um, and the other thing is the sexual content of it. And we'll get into kind of when we get there towards the end, what is probably now considered the most controversial scene in the book, and probably doesn't play out well for people reading it now, and certainly as a parent kind of didn't play out so well with me either, but we can get to when we get that in the thing. But I'm ready to jump in, Shawn. So where would you put, I want to know before we go in, where would you put it for you, like as a property? Is it one of your
Like
bigger ones?
in the top 10, or are we ranking things?
No, we don't have to rank it. I'm just, is this like something that's like top tier to you? Do you just
It's
kind of like it? Do
I just
you?
kind of like it.
Mhm,
I mean, this was when we first decided we were going to do this podcast. I'm like, we have to eventually get to this movie. I did love this movie, but
mhm,
when it comes to the iconic horrors that I love so much, it is not really at the top 5. I'd maybe put it in the top 10
mhm,
or top
mhm.
12, something like that, or top 27, something like that. But yeah, it's not. I watch it often, but not as often as I watch The Thing or The Shining or Killer Clowns from Outer Space, or it's not goofy enough. I need a little goofy.
Yes.
It's goofy at points, but it's the Stranger Things kid being goofy, and I'm like, fucking Richie, and I'm like, it's not
Mhm,
the goofy that I'm looking for. But I do love this movie, and I do love what is it, Skarsgård?
mhm.
Just so good. And now because we've been watching this, everything on my phone is popping up of like him like acting with the kids, like scaring the shit out of them, and then once they call cut, like he's like
Mhm.
messing with them and having fun with them and
Yeah.
making it like a human experience and not a horror show.
So listen, I like to do these podcasts as evergreen. So at any time people can write, look, first time in my entire life am I actually reading the book It. So there's probably people yelling at their cars right now or on the treadmill being like, how do you, whatever. But I think a lot of times people, certain properties, people kind of know they exist, like The Exorcist, parts of it, but you never actually dive into it yourself. Um, so we certainly are right now as we get into it. But yeah, it's just exciting to talk about it. And I think it's moving up my list, Shawn, with a bullet. And I think it's, I like the gnarly bits and all the lore and all the backstory and all the turtle talk, and we can get into it later. And man, that stuff is, do you think you'd read this book again? Do you think you'd ever read it again?
No, it was just one to do it, to say I did it. I cannot. There's no way. I mean maybe audiobook, but to put in that much effort, no. I don't know. I don't think I
You
would
got to do the
watch the
audiobook.
movie
So
again.
So funny thing, Shawn. So I have the Libby app, which is the library app, right? And you have Hoopla as well. You can get movies from Hoopla if you have a library card, Shawn. You can just take the digital ones out right there. So anyway, when I decided I wanted to listen to it, I first got it off of Libby, but you have to return it in a certain period of time. And I was just like, Oh, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to get through this. So I did a few hours there, and then I just eventually just bought it on Audible. But I figured it'd be something maybe I would listen to again down the line. But I'm trying to go through like as many books as I can this year and kind of make what I think is an impressive list for me, because I don't tend to read a ton of books every year, but I want to. And then this one really, I should count this on my list as like 2 books, Shawn.
Yeah,
45
maybe
hours.
3.
Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Come
That's
on.
1,100 friggin' pages. That's an insane amount of reading.
So obviously Stephen King endorses this movie. He was in love with it. He talked about it when it came out. He was really into what they did with it. All the changes that they made, he was cool with. And I think it really met with high regard for a lot of people. But what I wanted to say to you, Shawn, we were talking about before the evergreen thing. I wanted to say if you're listening to the podcast now, right when it drops, go to your phone into Google and type in "Welcome to Derry" and see what happens when you type "Welcome to Derry" in your Google search. So try it at home, kiddies. You want me to
Okay.
tell you, Shawn? You want me to tell you?
A little fun. No, no, no. I'm going to do it when I listen to this podcast and we can report back to it.
Yes, do it. But okay, let's go.
So my first note, the red balloon has become iconic. You see a red balloon anywhere, you immediately think Pennywise. Especially if you see a singular red balloon, you immediately have a feeling of dread. There's no reason for that to be there. It's definitely some sort of, I feel like, evil lurking.
Yeah, and in the book, there's other color balloons and there's bunches of balloons, and I think to go singular with it, for the most part, is pretty cool. And obviously, the red is really alluding to blood and alluding to other things. Red is just such a powerful color.
So it's a shitty rainy day. We got stuttering Bill sick in bed, making his little brother Georgie a boat. These brothers are adorable. They love each other.
Wait, Shawn. So when we start, you hear singing in the beginning. You hear this little girl's voice. So that's 4-year-old Elodie Barker, and it's a nursery rhyme, Shawn, that she's saying. I'm gonna say it to you. I've never heard this nursery rhyme. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right. So it's oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement's. You owe me 5 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. When will you pay me, say the bells of Old Bailey. When I grow rich, say the bells of Shoreditch. When will that be, says the bells of Stepney. I do not know, says the great bell of Bow. Here comes a candle to light you to bed, and here comes a chopper to chop off your head. Chip, chop, the last man is dead. Wow.
Sick.
That's a legit nursery rhyme.
Never heard that one before.
Yeah.
There's no London bridges.
No, that is something else, huh? And then the rain, Shawn. Water, huge theme. When I said this is a movie for us in this podcast, we've talked about it 100 times. Water is a big deal in this.
Georgie goes out to play in pouring rain. Boat floats into a sewer drain. For some reason, Georgie thinks his brother's going to kill him if he loses this paper boat. He looks in the sewer, and we are confronted with the scariest situation of all time. Immediately, cutting right to the chase. There's Pennywise, the clown.
And so the SS Georgie, Shawn, that he's sailing, and he has to go in the basement to get the paraffin wax for this. And this obviously takes much longer in the book, but I didn't know what paraffin wax was. Petroleum-based byproduct used in applications such as candles, cosmetics, waterproofing. And then Georgie goes down in the basement, Shawn, and he's running around outside, right? And then I wrote in my notes, for you, when he's running, he hits his head on this police barricade. And I said,
I laughed out loud in the theater.
Georgie goes down like Shawn at a Sanguisuga box show.
Quickly. I laughed out loud in the theater. I'm glad they had that because it needed a little bit of levity because Jesus.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So there's Pennywise in the sewer with his evil eyes enticing Georgie. They get to know each other. Georgie is laughing, and Pennywise goes from being fake nice to this murderous silence. He tells Georgie to grab the boat, and poor Georgie does.
Oh, Shawn, and these storm drains are so clean in Derry. Good for them, but so clean that you can get a whole clown down there. What happens, Shawn?
Well, this, my friends, brings me to my milking of the alpacas moment.
Already.
This fucker grows teeth like jaws, chomps on Georgie's hand, rips it off. Georgie's in the middle of the street screaming, bleeding. Pennywise's hand reaches out of the sewer drain, but like 1,000 feet out of it, and it grabs Georgie, pulls him in, and he screams for Billy. Before he gets pulled into the sewer, he is gone dead.
Shocking beginning. Also, those teeth, Pennywise teeth, or its teeth, are so cool. These pointy, there's a ton of them. We'll see them throughout the movie where they come in different variations and sizes and amount, and it's so cool. And John, we talk about this town of Derry based off of Bangor, Maine, which is where Stephen King's from or lives. I don't know if he's originally from there. And Derry makes its appearance in a bunch of Stephen King books. So it's in it, obviously. It's in Insomnia. It's in his book 11/22/63. It's mentioned in Bag of Bones, Dreamcatcher, and it's in a few short stories as well. Stephen King has built his own, long before Marvel did it. He built his own King universe where this stuff is kind of all interconnecting, and we get a character. Eventually, we're going to get a character in this franchise that was in The Shining.
Oh,
so
true.
Yeah. So we get the crazy clown teeth scene. We got the lady on the porch. Yeah.
We meet our kids. We got Mike. He's too afraid to kill this lamb, this sheep, whatever he's doing for work.
Mm-hmm.
We got our other kids, the Losers Club. We meet our bullies, Bowers. His pops is also the police captain.
Bowers is the worst in every incarnation that he's in, from the book to 1990 to this. Just awful. I will say, Shawn, this change of Mike Hanlon's living with his grandfather at the time, because his parents, we're going to find out they passed away in a fire. This is a change from the book. And I think this really takes some weight off of the character, because he's guiding them, and his father is telling him things in the book that happened back in the day that were sort of Pennywise related, and incidents that took place, and a fire that took place at this place called the Black Spot. And now we don't get any of that from Mike in this. And I think he just becomes a sideline character in a lot of this. And that'll change a little in part 2. But as a kid, he had a lot more to do than they do in this book.
We also got Beverly. She's also getting bullied.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out Betty Ripsum, girl from school, has gone missing. We meet our chunky little friend Ben. He's a klutz.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of me when I was a youngin' in school. We meet Beverly. They become friends when she discovers he listens to New Kids on the Block. She signs his empty yearbook, and he immediately falls in love.
So they have this awkward interaction where he's leaving the school, and she says something about leaving from another direction because Bowers is over here, and he's trying to play it off. And he's got his little thing that he made for school, which is the Thomas Till standpipe, which is a big part of everything in Derry and his own research. This kid moves to town, Shawn, and just falls in love with Derry history almost immediately. Nothing's going to say you're cool and you should hang out with me more than falling in love with your town's history when you're in grade school and building, it's not a diorama. I don't know what you would call that, but he's got the whole thing with the flag on top, and he drops it. Yeah. And the whole thing with Bev getting the garbage water, whatever, dumped on her in the bathroom. These are the things where it's like, man, kids are just so
The
mean.
worst.
And I will say it right now, the adults, right, are around in this, Shawn, but they're probably affected, and they get into this a lot in the book, by it. They're negligent and they're worse humans because of it. and he could take advantage of that. So, because there's a lot of daytime horror in this, and when I mean daytime horror, I mean crappy things happening to kids in broad daylight, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, Billy gets yelled at from his dad because he built this contraption because he's trying to find Georgie, and he mimicked the tunnel system, and his dad's like, "Stop it. Your brother's dead, and stop taking my crap out of my office."
Yeah, and listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, there's all the people in Derry would be good people if it wasn't for, it. But as you dig into this deep, you realize that's the underlying of everything in this book. That's the driving force behind all of it. Derry is just, stop and shop for it.
Well, little Mikey is delivering some meat to Stop and Shop, and he's hiding from Bowers, and he's in this alley, and all these burning, screaming hands are sticking out of the door, screaming. It opens up, and there's Pennywise, eyes glowing. But then Dickhead Bowers drives through the alley, chucks his cigarette at Mikey, and tells him to get the fuck out of his town.
And there's a mural on the wall. We see it later on too. Next to that doorway, Shawn, to the left, there's this mural on the wall, and that depicts the Bradley Gang massacre, which was, is one of the kind of Derry interludes in the book because it's non-linear. So they're going to jump around to the kids, old and young, and then other incidents. And this is an incident where these gang members are basically townspeople get together and they've had enough of this gang and they attack them, and Pennywise may or may not have been there as well. It's something I think they're going to dive into the series, but it certainly shows his long twisted history with this town, which is, just cool little aspects of this that they really worked hard to throw into the movie.
We got young Stanley studying for his bar mitzvah. He's scared of this painting of this twisted lady in his dad's office. It falls off the wall and he picks it up and the lady is gone. This scared the shit out of me in the theaters. She's behind him and creeps up playing this little flute and she's all twisted and contorted. It's scary as hell.
And scary for me as an artist, Shawn. Because sometimes, you feel like you hit, when you're working on the computer, you feel like you hit save and maybe you didn't, and you close out a window and you lost hours of work. Could you imagine like painting on a canvas and then you flip it over and it's just
and the
gone?
thing is gone. The
That's
Mona
horrific.
Lisa, it's just a background.
So this painting, the director stated that it was directly from his childhood. There was specifically a painting in his house that he was afraid of growing up. So he kind of took it and rolled it into this.
Little lover boy Ben writes his girlfriend Beverly a love note from her secret admirer. He's also spending his entire summer alone in the library with no friends. Poor Ben.
And looking at books about Derry, researching the town of Derry.
He's doing investigative bits, and I wrote this is Vertebrae.
Absolutely. I mean, he's probably a better reader than I was. Than I was with a kid, but he's doing it. He's doing all the investigative bits, and I love it. And that's how he kind of knows so much and kind of guide them a little bit.
He finds out there was this explosion that killed a bunch of kids in Derry.
Yeah,
a red balloon, singular, floats by him. He follows along. He's picking up these little burning eggs like they're breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
and he turns around, and something walks down the steps, dropping eggs, and it comes down. You see it at eye level, and it comes down one step, and it's got no head, and then it drops all the eggs and starts chasing him. He runs off horrified.
Shawn, he's looking at this Easter egg hunt. So it was an Easter egg hunt that took place, and there was this explosion, and 88 children died in this. So this is another big event. So we already touched on the Bradley Gang massacre that takes place, and that's a major event. Then we have this event with this explosion, and then we'll have another one that they kind of allude to later on as well. But these are major pivotal events in the history of Derry that are horrific things that happen, and our buddy Pennywise is right there for all of them.
Son of a bitch. But Ben runs into Bowers and his cronies, even worse than Pennywise. Fucking Bowers starts carving his name into Ben's stomach because he's a homicidal maniac, but Ben escapes.
Oh, the worst. Bowers is the worst. And like, this is awful, Shawn. This is broad daylight. He's just being attacked in broad daylight. He's just
So this car
slicing up another
drives by
kid.
and he screams for help, and a singular red balloon pops up from the back seat, and that's when you know he is fucked.
Yes. And I think, you know, certainly these kids, this is not by accident. You know, maybe there's something foretold about the fact that if they get together and do their thing, they can kind of suppress Pennywise, suppress it. And, you know, he's starting to mess with them in ways that he's not messed with the other kids. He just takes the other kids. He's toying with them here.
Billy and the Losers Club are hanging out in the Barrens, in the gray water, the piss, the shit, until Billy finds Betty Ripsom's shoe.
With her name inside of it, like it written in a weird way too, by the way. But gray water, Shawn, is just lightly used water from showers and bathtubs and sinks and washing machines that can be reused for non-potable purposes. So it's not poopy water.
Piss and shit.
It's not,
Still
but
gross.
I'm sure it is down there. You know, so when I was younger, for a while we lived in this apartment complex, and in between the apartment, behind the apartment complex, was this like deep woodsy area that went down, and there was this nasty water that ran through there, and then you came up on the other side and there was actually like a small farm there. I'm sure it's just buildings now, but we used to play, Shawn, in this water, and there were a couple of times where the water would have like reddish orange, like I guess it's like rust.
Red? Was there red balloons?
Reddish orange foam on it.
Gross.
And we would play in the woods and hang out, and there was somebody who had like a sort of a fort, and you know, we would, you know, start little fires, and I got in trouble once for starting a little fire when you're hanging out in the woods. And we used to try to build things, but playing in that nasty water, this made me think of it when I saw it. It was like, in a million years you couldn't get me anywhere near water,
the gray
like that.
water.
No way.
Billy's there to find Georgie. His friends want nothing to do with it. Till Ben stumbles upon the Losers crew and they all help him out.
Okay, pops up out of the water. Oh, so gross.
Bowers and his cronies are still on the hunt. One of them, young Keanu Reeves kid, heads into the dark tunnel thinking that he's chasing Ben.
This is Patrick. So Patrick, Shawn, you think Bowers is bad? Patrick, okay, in the book, and I want to say it now so you don't feel sorry for Patrick at all. He kills his infant brother by smothering with a pillow when he's 5 years old, because the kid's getting all the attention and Patrick's not getting it. And then he torments and kills animals and keeps the remains in a refrigerator. So like there's just like this refrigerator, like it's not running. He just keeps them in there. It's not plugged in. It's just like junk in the woods, and he has them. And then he participates in this whole thing. So Patrick's not a good guy at all. But in the book, we'll get into it. We'll right after you finish this part.
He heads into a dark tunnel thinking he's chasing Ben, but it's not Ben. A bunch of dead kids come walking out of the sewer, and Pennywise, and now young Keanu's dead.
Yeah, and in the book, he's attacked in the sewer by leeches, which is his biggest childhood fear.
The kids help out Ben and get him some med supplies, but they're broke. They meet Beverly inside. She helps them steal what they need by flirting with the pharmacist.
And this pharmacist is in Welcome to Derry. He's throughout the book. He's actually plays more of a key role in another scene later on in the book than he does in this actual movie. But he's a creepy dude.
He's a creep in this fucking movie.
Yes, he's a creepy dude. Anything in the pharmacy later on, we'll see a scene in the pharmacy too. The worst people work in this pharmacy, Shawn. The worst.
Speaking of creeps, Beverly goes home and her deadbeat ass, sexually abusive dad is also a total creep. He's a total asshole and he's crying. So she starts crying and cuts all of her hair off in the bathroom.
Yeah, he kind of like touches her face, and she takes, then goes in, and it's like never again. It starts cutting the hair off, and um, these scenes that take place as an adult and as a parent, uh, have so much weight to them, and we have not found one good adult yet in this movie.
The kids are having themselves a great summer, swimming around in their underwear in the quarry, looking at turtles.
Ugh. So wait, Shawn. Wait a second. So we're there and they're tighty whities diving into the water, swimming and hanging out. And then they run across a turtle. Turtle is a big deal in this book. We'll talk about it later on, but this is not by accident.
The kids find Ben's investigative bits from the library in his bag. He tells them the history of Derry. People die there 6 times the national average. It's even worse for kids, and he has more info at home.
And this kid went to the cliff diving thing and he brought he brought this
Brought his
like
nerd gear.
he brought his facts with him. This is like trying to have a movie conversation with adult vertebrae. This is like, we don't want to hear that. I just want to say I like the movie. I don't really care that the director's cousin went to this high school, and that's why they included the name of the high school.
Tell me more about the turtle.
Oh, the turtle's a big deal, Shawn.
I don't know
deal.
about the turtle. I'm very much looking forward to the turtle.
Yeah.
Ben tells the kids back in the day, all these people from Derry vanished. He got all these old illustrations on the wall, and we see Pennywise and a group of people. He says there was a bloody trail that led all the way to the wells. Billy finds this interesting. Perhaps this can lead to Georgie.
And Shawn, they do this a lot with this connected water system stuff in Batman. Batman kind of takes from this a little bit too. They even do it in the new one, in the Batman, but they did it in Nolan's Batman as well,
Batman
right?
Begins,
they poison the water system. So this is a big deal. Obviously, as humans settle on this planet and move around other places, the sun and water are a big deal to us, right? You need the sun to grow things, you water to water them and live by where people settle by the water. So it's something that's just been in myths for a really, really long time, and it just goes through time, and we get more of these references, and Lovecraft touches on a lot of it, and then rolls it all up, and we get Stephen King and other people. But I don't know that the movie The Ring happens if it's not for this movie, this book.
Then we get one of my favorite moments in this entire goddamn movie. Bev closes Ben's door, and there's a huge New Kids on the Block poster, and like it zooms in on each member's face while playing New Kids on the Block music, and you see Ben just look at her defeated, like, please do not let anybody see that, and she laughs and like closes the door so no one could see it. It again had me cracking up in the theater. So well executed.
Yeah, I think that's where, if you're going to set it in the 80s, helps. We can get those funny little bits and make it a little bit 80s-ish too, and get references that we all know as we're watching it. But yeah, I think it was funny too before, when after they did the swimming, they were all sitting there and she was drying off. She's the only girl in the group, and they're just awkwardly
Gawking.
Yeah, gawking, and then trying not to say anything, and she looks over and they start, looking around and act like
look over the shoulder, like, yeah.
Ben's just hanging out with his research books that he brought with him for the cliff diving.
He's having the best summer of his life.
Yeah.
Later, little Eddie the mama's boy is walking home. Passes the old battered house on Neibold. He stops in fear and the door opens. He drops his little pills everywhere. He gets confronted by this guy, but he's a leper. His body parts are falling off. He's chasing and growling after Eddie, who's freaking out and turns around. And there's Pennywise with like a triangle of red balloons.
Very cool.
He says, join me. You'll float down here. We all float down here. He laughs like a maniac. Eddie screams, runs, all the balloons pop, and Pennywise is gone.
Broad daylight, Shawn. Broad daylight.
At home, Beverly finds Ben's note from the secret admirer, but She thinks it's from Billy. Oh no.
Mm.
And even worse, she's stoked about it. Oh no. But
And,
then,
and
yep, go.
I was gonna say on the postcard is that Thomas Hill standpipes on the postcard. So this kid's so deep into dairy research that even his postcard has some historical structure on it.
She's in love, but there's no time because the sink drain starts calling her name.
Mm.
What? She looks into the drain and you hear, I guess, all the missing kids talking to her.
Yeah.
Like in Barbarian, she grabs the tape measure and puts it as far down the drain as she can.
Oh, that's so funny. You know what's funny is I watched this recently and then I watched it again so I maybe watched it a few weeks ago and then we were gonna do it. I was like, oh, I'll watch it again. And the second time I watched it was when I thought of Barbarian with the tape measure.
And then in like another movie we covered, The Ring, she pulls hair and blood out of the drain, but the hair grabs her and pulls her in the drain. Like a scene out of The friggin' Ring, it pulls her face in. The drain is regurgitating thousands of gallons of blood into her face all over the bathroom. She screams in horror. There's blood everywhere, but her dad comes in and doesn't see blood anywhere.
So this is all not happening, yet they can still get injured and they still can get taken away, but it's not actually there? Or do the parents not see it? Which one is it, Shawn?
I mean, in this movie, I feel like it leads to if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't fear it, then it's not really happening.
Right. Yep. Exactly. So
but
it's
maybe
not
the adults are seeing it and not fessing up to it because of that like Pennywise effect,
right.
Maybe they
I mean,
do see
listen,
it, but
a larger part of the movie, like you just said, is just basically if you don't fear it, then that's what you can get away from it, right? But it's just interesting how they kind of ride that line with certain parts, because is her head being pulled forward by hair? Is it not? We never see a shot of them interacting without that stuff there. Right. So if we cut away and didn't see and just saw her with her head leaning forward towards the drain and there was no hair on it, it wouldn't be as scary, but it would certainly explain that bit a little bit more. But I don't think we need it at all. But it's just interesting. We never see the alternate view of any of this stuff as it's happening, like a adult view. The adults take such a small role in this part of it, right? And again, this is just the kids part of it. The book, they jump from kids to adults. It starts with them as adults, then jumps back. Then we start to get these interludes where they jump back and tell us more and more about it, but we never get any sort of adult viewpoint in this at all. It's very kid focused. It's a little bit more adult focused in the book, but yeah, crazy scene.
Now Billy's at home and a light clicks on in Georgie's room. Goes in and has himself a cry. It's heartbreaking, but then we see a small shadow scurry away. Billy follows it. A little yellow rain jacket scurries past in the kitchen. Billy freaks out. It's Georgie. He went down to the basement. Of course he went down to the basement. Why wouldn't he? Basement's flooded, and there's Georgie in the corner, smiling, evil, tells Billy the boat just floated off. Come with me, and you'll float too. He repeats this over and over, angrier and angrier, and his skin rots away. And we see he's being like controlled by Pennywise, who starts running as fast as he can in the water, as spastic as hell, right towards Billy, who gets away. And Pennywise slowly like snakes away and rolls his eyes into the back of his head. Such a sick scene. The running fast in the water.
Yeah, the flailing of the arms and the running.
It's the fire in the sky of scary moments. It's insane.
And Shawn, when Bill is there, he's holding a Lego turtle. So you asked me about turtles. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this, right? So in the book, they make reference to this, and I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong because I haven't heard anyone say it out loud, but it's spelled Maturin. So Maturin. So that's the turtle. He existed long before the creation of, and some of these notes I'm going to read right from because I want to explain this to you clearly, the mainstream universe in the Stephen King novels, right? So he was kind, wise, gentle being, and he was constantly withdrawn into a shell and sleeping. So he's this huge cosmic being. But on one occasion, comes out of a shell when he has a stomach ache, which causes him to vomit out the mainstream universe. After which he promptly retreats back into a shell. And because of that, it is a creature that existed in the void within the macro universe and was the adversary of Maturin. But now he can get into this mainstream universe. So there's these cosmic beings, kind of like ultimate good, ultimate evil. And they reference it in the novel. They say that he died years ago, this choked to death on the galaxy or something. And then they go into this whole ritual of Chud. And I'm not going to get into all of this stuff. You certainly get into it. If you want to read the book, we could put up some notes. But this turtle part is something that I don't think they're ever going to get into. I think would make this just too insanely weird. If you suddenly had a flashback to some cosmic turtle. And this cosmic turtle situation would probably just freak people out. But it's a big deal. It's a significant figure in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King as well. So it's just interesting that what they've chose to do is to just kind of allude to it already twice, the Lego turtle and the turtle when they're swimming in the water, and this balance of this sort of like benevolent, beautiful being in this cosmic turtle. And then what advertising would never tell you, this other cosmic being in it, because there's it and then there's Pennywise, and Pennywise is just one of the manifestations of it. So this is a bigger story, and we see more of it as we get into this movie. But that's the turtle deal. So you'll see it when you watch Welcome to Derry. You'll see already in the first episode a few turtle references made. And I think it's cool that it exists. Again, I don't think we should ever get to a point, even I, who much as loves all this lore and stuff, I don't think we should ever get to a point where we see like cosmic turtle. Like I don't think that'll work for anybody. Make a cool illustration, with it and the cosmic turtle and the kids and stuff. But
I know our friend Dave Psycho Ninja 47 is freaking out about all the turtle references you're making right now.
Oh, he's super excited. He's like, "Oh my god, they're gonna talk about the turtles, not that turtle."
The boys head to Bev's house. She shows them the blood-soaked bathroom. They can all see it. Only the kids see it. We get our little montage of them cleaning the place up.
Yeah, so we get a montage of them while they play The Cure, Shawn. So we gotta add that song.
What song? You know the name of the song? I'll find it.
Off the top of my head, I don't know the name.
I'll look it up. I will add it. We do have some The Cure on from our The Crow episode. Make sure you check that out.
There are a few montages in this movie.
Ben also notices that Bev found his secret admirer's love note, and he's happy about it until he busts Billy and Bev flirting and realize he might end up losing his lady to Billy. And that, my friends, I think is the perfect halfway point. Oh, wait, what?
What?
It took us one movie episode to figure out the one movie, one episode system probably wasn't going to work. At least it's not going to work for this movie. So instead of giving you a 2-hour one movie episode for this one, and maybe for some other ones in the future, we will be splitting this one into 2 episodes. Sometimes we'll get through them in one episode, and when we can, We will. With this, I think in order to make it a good listen, it's good to break it up right about
Right.
here.
We got to have time for turtle talk, Sean. You know,
Yeah, we don't want
we
to
got to make
rush
time.
this,
So yeah, and I think we discussed it before we jumped on. I think when there are films that mean something to us, franchises that are, I'm not saying the others don't, but there's certainly movies we like that we could talk about really quickly and easy and have a great time talking about them completely. And I think we would do them, very good service by doing that. I think we do a disservice to it if we tried to just squeeze this in really, really quickly. I certainly think back in the day when we started this podcast, Sean, this would have been like a 4-hour episode
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Each one would have 2 hours each. But yeah, I mean, so far, I hope everyone's into it. This is an exciting one to talk about.
I mean, if you haven't read the book, you should read the book. If you haven't seen this movie, you should check it out. There is a reason it is legendary. It was just something I knew about for years and heard
Mhm.
about for years. And like one day was like, I need to finally. It was this exact same way with The Exorcist. Like, and I feel like The Exorcist kind of falls in that same universe. It's like Pennywise and Exorcist, like they're not ones that I watch all the time. They're just these legendary movies that I feel like they need to be seen and
Right.
taken in with, with everything else that we got going on with the Nightmare on Elm Streets and the Michael Myerses and the Jason Voorhees, all that. Like it's just and the Jigsaw. It's great to have and the Pinhead. It's great to have Pennywise in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
would probably put him above and this story above most of the ones you just listed for me, like as iconic things. I think, these two films, and when we do get into chapter 2, because eventually we'll have to do it because we're splitting the book by doing it this way. There are a number of issues in that film that make it not as enjoyable as this one. And some kind of controversial changes to it. But I'm going to say that this one comes out and it is beloved almost immediately by everybody and takes everybody by storm. And you can't go anywhere without seeing something about red balloons. They do a whole marketing campaign, Sean, where they leave red balloons at storm drains and stuff.
Did they
To
ever use
promote.
99 Red Balloons as a promotional song for this?
No.
They probably should have.
All right. There you
Should
go. See,
should
we should
we
have had
add
you on
it
the team.
to the In Madness Spotify playlist?
There you go. What is his title of that song? I don't know the official title of that song.
99 Luft Balloons.
Yes, it's Luft Balloons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still doing the voting poll, psychopaths. I think the poll is still open if you're listening on In Madness Monday. Your choices are Psycho, Godzilla, Scissorhands, and what was the first one?
Sean?
The Fog.
What?
The Fog.
The Fog.
Yeah.
Godzilla, Psycho, and Edward Scissorhands. Yep. Those are your choices. We're getting random votes. It's interesting to see.
I want to read this post that I got, and I reposted it on our thing, and I just thought it was friggin' hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I gotta pull it up real quick.
Oh, I know which one you're talking
So
about.
this dude messages. I don't want to give away his handle if he does. He says, if when you get to Edward Scissorhands, please do a 0.5. We don't do 0.5s anymore. How long till we do a 0.5? Since we already broke our one episode, one movie rule. How long?
No,
till we
that
get
was
to a
confusing.
0.5?
But we are not changing our numbering system. We're going to go pure with these number
He
episodes.
says, when you eventually do a 0.5, do it on the porno movie Edward Penis Hands. You can skip the sex stuff, but the drama aspect is hilarious, and you may never be able to eat spaghetti the same way again. That is going in the In Madness Message Hall of Fame. After this will be 3 years. That was one of the greatest messages we've ever seen on the socials at In Madness Pod, inmadnesspod@gmail.com. Check us out on the YouTube. Check us out on the Spotify. We already added 2 songs that I didn't think we were going to add. I'm glad we are adding more. I'm sure we'll get to more in the next episode. Did you get all your gnarly bits in for part 1 of It One?
I mean, we could never get all the gnarly bits in, Sean, but I would say if anyone's really into this, you've got time to send in stuff, we could talk about it. We could talk about it a little bit after this episode. If Shawn watches Welcome to Derry, we might do an episode
I'll get to it. I'll get to
on
it.
that as well. I think there's going to be 8 episodes in that series. But send in stuff if you know stuff. I'm very curious to see, and I'm curious to see when people took this property in. Was it the book and then the miniseries and this movie, or was it this movie that made you wonder about the book, and then you go back and see? There's actually a really cool documentary too on the making of the miniseries, which you should watch if you get time, Shawn. It's, you know,
Or was it this
hope here at
podcast?
home.
Did listening to this
Oh,
episode make
imagine.
you want to go watch the movie and read the book? Please let us know on the socials. It would warm our hearts. And we'll see you next Monday. We already broke our rule. I'm sorry, but there are no rules here. This is our podcast. Sometimes we'll do one movie, one episode. Sometimes we break it up. But this is how it is for now. This is a great movie, and I feel like we did this justice. We will see you next week for whatever, Nebert, I think is episode 137 of In Madness Pod.